Tom, we've been here in Dubai for the last 10 days at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development meeting and COP28. What's your impression so far?
Lyndon, I feel encouraged. Coming here, we all knew that the stocktake was painting a dire picture and that we're not on track and that we need to move a lot faster. I thought, we have a lot more action orientation. It really helped that in the first couple of days, a set of strong commitments were made. Loss and damage, food and ag became a separate day, a set of other commitments. And overall, in the first 4 days, $57 billion were committed. That's a bigger number than we've ever seen beforehand. I also felt we got a lot more collaboration. And by that I mean collaboration between different countries in different parts of the world, north, south, east, west, between companies and public policy, between communities. This was the first time that mayors had a significant amount of time, during COP. So all the different parties with a much clearer focus on we need to move forward. Now, of course, for ERM, we're very focused on business agendas. And here I really felt, that the orientation to let's get on with the job, let's make a difference, has been the prevalent theme. Also, very importantly in my mind, many more organizations are talking about and thinking about the opportunity space. How do we compete in our strategy with sustainability? I mean, environmental and social. How can we differentiate versus competitors? How can we create value for the world and for companies? And that conversation was very apparent, and that is very encouraging for the journey that's going to come in front of us.
Absolutely. Sabine, what was your impressions of the last 10 days?
Well, Tom just talked about the kind of focus of business. And for me, one of the highlights was really the Tripling Renewables campaign that the Global Renewables Alliance has been promoting. We now have 120 governments who signed up to it and more than 250 businesses, including ERM. And for us, there has been a lot of momentum in the market. Last year we supported about 900 projects, leading up to about 160 gigawatts of installed capacity. So that's exciting. And I think when we look at solar, for example, we're pretty much on track. But with regards to wind, we're still far off. This tripling is pretty tough. So this week we brought out our global offshore renewables outlook. And that shows that we think we'll probably get to about 250 gigawatts by 2030, where we really by then should be closer to 500. So loads of challenges. They are sitting with the grid, with the supply chain, critical minerals, permitting, pricing and interest rates, etc. But also more and more around communities and nature impact. So that is why our approach really is to look at that whole end-to-end piece around renewables, from supporting around the critical minerals that are necessary to build the materials, to technology and site selection, permitting, operations, and then all the way through to end of life.
So we have the clean energy story, but we also need the decarbonisation story, and particularly in those sectors that are important to the economy, but hard to abate. I mean, what have we seen, on the decarbonisation story here?
A lot more focus, a lot more attention, a lot more, again, collaboration between the various players. A couple of points, high focus on methane. $1 billion got pledged, to reduce methane flaring. The second big topic is a focus on product carbon footprint. We've been focused on company overall footprint, but now the focus goes on to product carbon footprints. And we see that already has differences in the markets. We see that low carbon aluminium trades significantly higher than full carbon aluminium. I expect that we're going to see more attention, to that space. Comes back to my point before, it helps to differentiate on your strategy side. The third big topic are some of the new technologies. Hydrogen, we've been involved in more than 5 sessions here, with some new findings. It's been a big topic. That will have to be a big unlock for significant amounts of the world and many industries that need that type of energy, for them. But at the end of the day, it all comes back together to all of us, to senior leaders that are here, but also then everybody throughout the organization, be that our middle managers, that our frontline staff. We all have to get our heads around what the sustainability means in the context of our day-to-day jobs and contribute and innovate around how can we do the work different and have a different impact on the world.
Absolutely. And Sabine, you mentioned nature before, and again, the link between nature and climate and people is intrinsic. What are we seeing around the voluntary carbon markets?
Well, I think what we've really seen in the last 18 months is a realization that we can't have net zero without also protecting nature. And that was very present here at this COP as well. The voluntary carbon markets can play a significant role in closing that finance gap around nature. It's currently still quite small, about $2 billion, but expectations are that can go to between 300 and 500 billion by 2050. So significant potential. But that market has also had some challenges, as we've all seen in the past year. It's been widely publicized. But what was interesting to see this week is that there is now real momentum around a reset in that market, with much greater focus on integrity, high quality, and also transparency, I think, and making sure that the benefits are actually reaching the communities on the ground, which we haven't seen enough of, I would say. So, Linda, you've heard, Tom and I sort of sharing some thoughts, but, you've been here as well. Like, what are some of your key takeaways from the past week?
Yeah, I think for me it's around accountability. So the global stock takes around an audit or a report card on the governments of the world. And as Tom said, we're not meeting those targets. But there's also a corporate stock take, which had the same message. Business has made commitments, but hasn't delivered. And so there is a lot of attention, and rightly so. And I think it has to really switch into that accountability, delivery, transparency piece. So Tom, it's kind of nearing the end for you here, but a long way to go. What are you looking forward to next?
I look forward to the next steps on the journey. There's another week here at COP in which we will all make some more progress on where we want to go, and then, the framework is ambition, actions, accountability. Ambitions getting higher, accountability you just spoke about. Action is now the theme, that we need to all focus on. How do we build momentum? How do we see different things moving, commitments moving, integration into strategy moving? And how do we really mobilize organizations at scale, to achieve, what we all have to do together? It's not world as usual. It is not business as usual.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Sabine. It has been a really important time here, and I think our work probably starts when we return and really gather this momentum and take it forward with our clients and our colleagues to really kind of transform this economy that we're part of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. It's been a privilege being here.